So maybe I'll start with any questions from the group. All right. Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
I'll go ahead and start. So what would I have liked to know 6 weeks ago? How a shoe is deconstructed in its intimacy from the beginning versus struggling with ripping it apart and taking the time. I think we could have sped up our process a little bit. That's just one aspect.
In the same vein of that, how to build a full-fledged sneaker. It was a giant learning curve, but I'm so happy I went on that curve.
I wish I knew that even the smallest detail was worthwhile to pursue as a whole project.
Yeah, I think for me, the hardest thing and something I wish I knew 6 weeks ago was just how difficult it can be to just start something. It's easy to kind of iterate a lot of different ideas and prototype and stuff, but it can be really hard to just make that first cut or that first step. And I think my favorite part was probably just meeting everyone and collaborating with my team. That was definitely the best part to me.
Yeah, I think my favorite part was beyond meeting everyone and feeling a sense of belonging in truly being myself, just getting to challenge myself and be creative in a way that I frankly didn't think I could be.
I think the best part for me was just interacting with the community. It was a truly collaborative process, as people have said over and over again, but in the design industry, so many things are like gatekept and like information is not shared. It's all very competitive. But here it's like everyone was supporting each other, trying to help each other get their design to be the best that it could be, because we all have us like same value for why we're doing this. And it's to help people and to just be their best selves. Yeah, that was the best part.
So I'm going to change what I put in a thing to Tiffany as far as what I took away from this, because as I thought about all the presentations tonight, one of the things we do as OTs, we work on what's called activities of daily living, which includes dressing. And dressing is very intimate. So when you think about you dressing your body every morning, you're very intimate with your body. And as an occupational therapist, we get very intimate with our patients and our clients. We have gadgets that we teach people to use, but we don't always break the clothing down and identify how can that be modified or be created from the beginning to be inclusive. So gadgets aren't necessary. Not that gadgets are bad. OTs love gadgets. Where are my OT friends? But we also need to have a broader eye, looking at things with a wider eye, that there's a different approach, and how can we do that? And we don't have that opportunity in school. We make things. I used a piece of plastic to form onto Levi's foot that's used for splints. You know, we have tools, but to be invited into something such as this and really look at dressing, because that's our project, right? Shoes, a little less intimate than putting on undergarments and such. It's absolutely incredibly inspiring, and we do need, as Maria said, to be included at the table, because we look at things a little bit differently, and sharing those ideas with a designer and in discussing and hearing from the individuals that have a disability, the lived experience, all of those thoughts come together, create something powerful. And if it was started from the beginning, think about all of you that have had a disability. Maybe there could have been a solution created much earlier. And quality of life is our focus. As OTs, we want people to gain the maximum functional ability, have best quality of life. But what would it be like if we were invited at the table much earlier? And could we come up with designs that help people have a quality of life at a younger age?
So I often half joke that I've stumbled upward in my career as an accessibility consultant. But so I've been in this field for about 10 years, and OSL's summer program allowed me to practice my leadership skills in a way that I really haven't before, and that is invaluable. and extremely essential for the future of inclusivity and education and culture.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Yep. Do you want to?
Yes, so Team Levi, we use 3D printing for quite a number of components of our shoe, from the design process from the beginning. The pattern making, if you come to visit our table, you'll get to touch and feel it. The idea of how do you put an item together and take it apart, and what materials. New Lab is incredible. I know Dan, Mara, Nico helped us with a lot of that. If we didn't have that available, really, if we didn't have New Lab outside of our fantastic leadership, for our project, we would not have been able to create the shoe we created. 3D Lab was crucial to that, and the 3D printing and the CAD and the designer was huge in all of those aspects. It was used throughout our whole process.
And I think to add to that as well is what we started each team doing was scanning and 3D printing their feet, because regular lasts just don't fit any of the fellows. So it was very much around how can we use technology to also analyze and go through that whole process. Jordan?
What advice do you have now for footwear brands?
Okay, I can go, I guess. I think the biggest thing that I was thinking about throughout this program is that, as I mentioned earlier, I study public health, and so I'm used to being surrounded by a lot of pre-med people and being the only disabled person in that space. So coming here, I think that was a really big kind of change for me, being surrounded by a lot of other disabled people. And in doing that, I kind of realized the diversity of disabilities that we have here, and how, in talking with my team, a lot of the adaptive shoes that exist really focus on the donning and doffing process. And I have full upper mobility, range of motion, whatever you want to call it. So that's really not a problem for me. And there's really no adaptive shoes on the market that I've found that target that demographic of the disabled community. So I think a really big thing that OSL did a really great job of this summer is bringing people with a lot of different backgrounds and diversity of disability types, especially those with rare diseases like myself that may have kind of unique footwear needs. And it's really important to give them a seat at the table and really actively contribute in the ideating process, the co-design process, so that we can kind of work to develop adaptive footwear that better meets the needs of all kinds of disabled people and doesn't just focus on that process, but also about size and fit and length of shoes and things like that as well. So I would say I would tell the industry to really try and move towards that moving forward. And I know that like Velcro and trying like zippers, things like that have really been the norm for a long time from what I've seen in terms of adaptive footwear. So really working to kind of disrupt those norms moving forward and just getting creative and exploring other options because there's so many other options out there, as my team played with our little special fidget board, as we'll call it, or cheese board. Yeah, so I think just get creative and really invite people with rare diseases in as well, just to kind of talk about what might work best for them.
Yeah, to go on top of that, like being in the design, like fashion industry, I think first of all, like brands really need to include people of all backgrounds and abilities at the beginning of the product development process, not as an afterthought at the end, like, oh, this might work for this community. Maybe we can like splash it on our branding and like market it as accessible. So just going from the beginning and being considerate about that is very important. Another thing I just want to address is that I know just being in fashion and apparel and footwear, it's like everyone's talking about money every single day. It's like the pennies it comes down to those pennies. And I just want to say, like, I think brands, once they put in that, like, money for initial development, they may find themselves very much rewarded with, like, severe like customer loyalty. Many times throughout the summer program, I feel like fellows, Yasmin, voiced finding products that worked for them and then having anxiety that they were going to leave the market. Once they found something that works, they might stay with that product for life. And so really, these are people who want something stylish, but it also has to work for them. Whereas many able-bodieds, might go on to the next trend because most things kind of work for us. But if we're catering to these different communities, I think the profitability is very impressive. You just have to get into it in the beginning and do it right.
I want to say, I want to echo everything that's already been said, but beyond including people with disabilities, I just lost my train of thought. Accessibility isn't just the right thing to do, it's good for business, it's good for the bottom line. And I think companies need to own that, because obviously capitalism is the thing and they care about making money. They'll make more money if they include us and the full spectrum of us.
I'm going to just add one comment, just from a different perspective, in kind of, what can companies do? I think the other piece is we all here, this community, are change agents now. Not that we weren't, but we're advocates, we're team advocates, we're better together. And there needs to be an opportunity where those organizations calls out for people. And the individuals with disabilities, occupational therapists, designers need to help bring people to the table too. It goes two ways. There are organizations that are looking to make changes, but they don't know where to find people to participate. And I think we need to come to a common ground with that. And I think that's a really important thing to consider too.
And I think something that also we've seen within the OSL community is from past alumni and now future alumni, is the want to engage with like-minded people and feeling very isolated, especially in this way of doing work, because it's not really seen in the industry in the same way. I did want to give a call out to Steve Madden because I wear their shoes because it's the only shoe I can find that goes over my leg brace. And you promised me, because I think it's out of stock, that you'll get me more. Or Madeline did. Yeah, I wear a leg brace and I have, I don't have sensation in my leg. So if I have anything hard on the top, causes pressure sores, their shoe works for me. Just gonna look at the time. Okay, we have a few more minutes. Any of the last closing comments?
I have something to add really quick that I was just thinking of when everyone was speaking. I think another thing for the industry that I just wanted to drive home is I'm also working at a hospital this summer, Mount Sinai, and they knew that I was working here at OSL as well, so I was kind of secretly behind the scenes showing them some pictures and stuff throughout. And I was on Tuesday showing them a picture of my final prototype, and one of my coworkers said, also I'm the only disabled person that works there, one of my coworkers said, "Oh my God, that's so cute. If I saw you wearing that in your interview, I would have hired you immediately, like regardless of the chair." And I was like, okay, thank you for calling my shoes cute, but also problematic in that we are talking about hiring, like we shouldn't be hiring disabled people in spite of mobility aids. So that's a separate conversation. But I think it really goes to show just through that comment alone that for the industry, I guess it can be really easy to think that there's kind of, not that there's no larger impact, but that, oh yeah, we're just focusing on the design, but actually focusing and really intentionally and thoughtfully engaging in adaptive design and inclusive design really has much greater impacts beyond just the design space alone, and really can be the determining factor in whether a disabled person gets a job opportunity, a speaking engagement, all those kinds of things. So I think that that's really important to remember in the design process, even all the way back in the beginning how much of an impact you can have on a disabled person's life in all social spheres.
I want to say practice empathy, don't make assumptions, and trust that disabled people know our own experiences.
Yes.
Just a few more points thinking about all of this. So yeah, as a technical designer, I'm very used to multiple constraints being handed down to me. It's, budget first, then it's material, it's the silhouette, the list goes on. Well, I've been fortunate to work with brands that have had an emphasis on like fit inclusivity and inclusive branding to a point. The variable of meeting disabled needs is not often on the table in the product development process. And I just felt like this is a place where Open Style Lab shines so brightly. And during the summer, it was just a theme of human empowerment. It was empowering for me as a designer to regain that autonomy to make my design decisions. It was also inspiring to see users' autonomy revitalized. A flesh and blood human was telling me whether this design worked for them, whether it's desirable, whether they felt the design included them. It can get incredibly messy when it's a human telling you these things rather than a star rating and 60 characters on your screen like I'm used to. But out of the messiness comes a dialogue, a real dialogue is developed and understanding. And out of that, inclusion is fostered. And I just feel like, thank you OSL for giving us all that opportunity to really practice design in this way where it's, I feel like, how design is meant to be in the world in empowering people. So yeah, thank you.
I'll make one last comment just to go along with everybody. Just from an OT, I think I've already said it. OSL has it. They understand OT, they understand the need, and we need other organizations to do the same.
We love OTs. I just want to say thank you very much for sharing. And thank you everyone for being here as well. I just, our last kind of final thing is the award ceremony. So I also want to call up Jordan. Jordan, we met 3 years ago, I think it is. Yeah. So I'll let Jordan say a little bit about herself, but I just want to say the collaboration with Steve Madden on this project was amazing. And you guys have just been incredible in wanting to further the research, the education in the whole industry as a whole. So just thank you very much.
Of course, let's get another round of applause for all the teams today. Really incredible. I'm Jordan Summer. I'm the Deputy Director of Sustainability at Steve Madden. And something that we really look for at Steve Madden, at the Steve Madden Corporate Foundation when funding organizations and programs are organizations that are creating real solutions to problems. And Open Style Lab has for years fit the bill for that for us. They bring in talented experts in design thinking, but also have been really insistent on being led by people with disabilities. And that's something that we really value in your organization. And it's been a real pleasure working with you over the years. So yeah, it's a real honor to be here and to support OSL.
I was just looking at the winner, but you took all that.
Yeah, should I do?
I have the green one.
I have 3. Should I do?
Yeah.
Oh, like the top 3?
So just one team,
Okay. Okay.
and then
great.
they have 3 people.
Oh,
in.
got it. Okay, great. Okay. So the winner is Team Michelle. 3 stars, Michelle. Congratulations. I I had the motto in my head and now it left me. But say it one more time for me. What is it? Casually elegant sandal with a touch of sex appeal. Congratulations.